little bit Star Wars, a little bit Sith, a little bit DarkSide, and I'm sometimes, just to do a good job, I'm that devil's advocate and look at the dark side. So today we're going to talk about all that really from a leadership perspective. And I would say this is not going to be a deep dive. This is going to be just like that beginning course to get you interested in it. And then later in the call, we're going to talk about other courses that we have available that take what you learned today and are going to do a double click on various aspects of it. So we want to make sure we use AI. I don't even know how you could sign up for this class today without AI, because I can't even like figure out what I'm going to watch on TV without a little research in AI. But we're going to use this and keep on going. Okay, but before I get too far, every month I have a workshop that's out there, and these are just some of the ones that are coming up. We've got our finance for leaders, we've got how to get approval from executives, benefits realization. That one is really hot these days. Everybody wants to know how to spend their money, but make sure they get the benefits, how you get that value. That one's coming. We've got negotiations. As a leader, you got to know how to negotiate. And then another one that's coming up in February is about your brand and also your perception. So great that you have a brand, but how are you perceived? So I'm super excited that these workshops are coming up. So I encourage you to sign up for them. As they come out there, I'll send you notes and say they're out there. I try not to do them until we exactly have a date. So coming up soon, though, one a month for sure. And I can't wait to share what's next with you. Oh, Kim, I need some help with a little muting out there. Okay. Okay, so welcome to this BrightSide Success workshop. Today we're going to talk about AI and how to empower your organization. I already talked about the good and the bad. I'm going to cover a lot of the good stuff because I'm the bright side that's from my company. It is just a little bit of a mantra of how I live my life. I can think about all the bad things that are happening, or I can look at the bright side. And so I always try to look at the bright side. But today's workshop is going to go through both. And then we're going to talk about some of the things that are mistakes. And so before we get too far, I want to tell you a little story about one of my clients. And it's a client I've been working with closely. And it's something of a failure story. This company that I was working with has a programmer. They hired a programmer on a team of very seasoned programmers. This programmer then went to go write some code. They wrote some code, they're ready to get it installed, and the senior programmer had to do a little review with the new programmer. And so the new programmer used AI to write their code. They literally went into ChatGPT and said, write me some code to go do the thing I need to do, and hand it in so that it can be submitted. And while that sounds like a really good idea, they didn't know any of the standards, they didn't know the languages, they didn't know anything when it came to the code for this company. And in fact, they ignored it. And so this person, this leader that I was coaching, had to go through and say, hey, it's great you're using AI, but we really hired you to code because we thought you knew how to code. We thought you knew how to do the job. And so I use that as a little bit of a failure story because this person, I think, ultimately probably lost their job because they didn't know how to code. And people tried to keep inserting them and tried to keep teaching them. But at some point, when you start to teach somebody and they really don't know the skill, especially in a technical environment, you don't get to keep the job. So I tell that failure story not to look on the bright side, because there's not a lot of bright side in that story, but just to let you know that we have to watch how we're using AI as leaders. We have to watch how we're hiring people, because they can say all the right words, pass all the right tests, because they've used AI to do it. But then in the end, they really can't deliver the goods. And so want to leave you with that quick AI story because it's actually a real one that happened in the real world. I'm trying not to disclose a company or anything like that, but it is something that I hold as a way to keep thinking about AI. Okay, like we talked about, learning objectives. We're going to learn about how to use AI appropriately, what's good, what's bad, and then what's practical. The practical part is that we really like to double down on, so we want to get to that part as soon as possible. But I do want this to be a workshop where you work with us, because it will get really boring really fast if you're only listening to Denise talk for this long. And so I need your help in the chat. We're going to use the chat a little bit, and I'm always open for you to raise your hand and ask a question or just start talking. But in the chat, what is interesting you about AI? Like, where are your interests lying? I mean, I know for me, I can't do a recipe without using AI, although I made a very horrible recipe a couple times, so my son always has to edit it and make sure it's accurate. I use AI to do research on my marketing plan. I know I recently used AI to do research on my business plan. I said, here's my output from the first 3 months. Here was my business plan. What do I need to do next? That was really useful. So I'm using AI for everything. I'm using it for my business. I'm using it for personal. I'm using it for everything. Okay, Contos. Okay, efficiency. Okay, I'm
Cal
gonna look
says,
over
I'm
to this.
intrigued by its efficiency and how powerful it can be from that perspective.
Thanks, Kim.
Roseanne, I love using it for recipes, for helping me be more creative. I like it for editing or changing the tone of my message. I'm
Yeah,
interested to see how the future of AI becomes integrated with everyday life. Workshop to build my personal brand statement.
ooh,
That's
love it.
very cool.
Mhm.
Type
Yeah.
A as a foil for thought processing. What have I missed? Asking it to challenge me. Um, Lucille says synthesizing plethora of info. That's a good
Yeah,
one.
probably too much.
Kyle,
Yeah.
I am known for being long-winded, so anything to help me condense, be precise, and not lose my message. Research, family matters, finances, business, everything. Propose a compensation structure for a startup. As an editor, I'm more interested in learning about how I can fix AI errors and misinformation.
Yeah.
Ted says, plus coding, building websites, and marketing tools. Kyle says, role plays.
Wow. Wow. Okay. So I'm hearing editor, I'm hearing challenger, I'm hearing brevity, make it, concise, being my researcher, to take in a whole lot of information. Yeah. So this is awesome. So you're using it. Like, it's not like we have to explain to you what AI
Mhm.
is, which would be bad at that point. You all are using it. That is so awesome. Okay. Well,
Vinay says he uses it for polishing business plans, executive messaging.
oh, yeah. Yeah. Why do the work if you can
Yeah.
polish it and say, make it sound executive? Yeah. I love it.
Uh-huh.
I love it. Yeah, and we're all using it however we need to. So we're going to talk about some of that. I heard some of the things. I want to introduce my guest speaker with me today before I get too far, but I've heard some things in here that I do want to caution you, even just what I've heard. Some of the things, if you're putting work data out in the internet, it's out in the world and all that good stuff. So we will definitely talk about that more. But before I get too far, I do want to introduce Corey Dyke. He is somebody that I've worked with for many, many years. I didn't add up all the years, Corey, but it's probably definitely more than 10 years for sure. And somebody that I have utilized, I always tell this story about Corey. He's somebody that I worked with. He was my chat GPT 10 years ago before there was chat GPT. And so the way I think about it is I would have questions that would come my way or topics that I just, as a leader, I didn't have time to do all the research. So I would go to someone like Corey and be like, can you research this for me? I just need just do a download for me and help me learn this fast and help me learn and grow. And Corey was a research librarian earlier in life and then a tech, a professional that worked with me. And so I'm really happy to have him on this workshop today because he makes me think differently and helps me think through things. And I'm just excited to have him on here to tell us about how he thinks about AI because I'm learning each and every day. And Corey, you are one of those people that I learn from. So I'll let you introduce yourself, even though I gave my Denise version of your introduction.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me here, Denise, and glad to see everyone joining the class today. For me, it's been, like Denise said, it's been an interesting career journey. I went through grad school to become a librarian, was a librarian for several awesome years, and then in the early 2000s, the economy just pretty much made that impossible, especially because I couldn't find extra hours in my position anymore. And I wound up at US Sailor, and years later, got to work with Denise as I came from customer service. But one of the things that meshed well with me and Denise was that I loved having the opportunity to use my library skills again, which really kind of segues well into what we're discussing today because I come from more of the outsider perspective of seeing AI as competition. It is, many people see it as an enhancement. Me, it's like I'm competing with it. So
Mhm.
I tend to be more quick on the draw for where it's weak. But one of the great things about working with Denise is that I have had to begrudgingly admit that there are definitely some benefits. Denise personally helped me with my resume, and I was actually pretty impressed with what she produced with the AI. I was like, yeah, that formatting's better. I'm not that one. I like how it did summarize that well. It's doing better, and that's kind of things what we want to talk about today is when does it work well, and when is it really taking a risk? And as I've stated here, like definitely use it, be enthusiastic with it, play around with it, but just know that your mission always has to come first. We always want to be putting the customers first. And one example of that we would love to share is kind of an example where you didn't quite anticipate how customers would react. So if Denise, if you would pull up this wonderful ad McDonald's put out this previous holiday season, don't know if everyone's seen it, that did not go over very well.
Oh, wait, I'll pause a second so you can finish your intro. Go
Oh,
ahead.
go ahead. You're good.
Okay, we're gonna play a video, so tell me if you saw this.
It's up. You just need to hit full
Okay.
screen.
Okay, it's not playing now. That's great. Play, play, play. I don't know what happened, Corey. I'm gonna have to do it again.
Yeah, that's interesting.
There it goes.
All the shops turn to mayhem, even Santa knows space, and the tree decorated your place. It's the most terrible time of the year. Roast turn to charcoal, and the cookies burn too. Freaking chaos feels like a zoo. It's the most terrible time of the year. So you flee from the lights and the cheer, and hide out in McDonald's till January's here. It's the most terrible time.
I think I pressed it a couple times. Well,
That's okay.
more than once is better than once. Yeah. So did anybody see that commercial when it was playing? I definitely did.
Yeah.
Yes, Karen saw it. Yeah. One thing though, why don't you tell the story of what happened with it though? I think that's what's critical
Yeah.
here.
So what's interesting is 2 points. One was that it did not go over very well, mainly because a lot of people noticed like the first of it seemed pretty realistic. As you went further into commercial, stuff just started looking off. The way people moved, the way the cat moved, and I think a lot of people started kind of being revolted by it. They were like, "What is this? Like, I'm getting really confused by what's happening here." But what's interesting, counterpoint to all of it, is that another ad agency saw that AI ad and basically took the old lady you see laughing. They made an ad with her and basically pointed out that since she's not a real person, she's not intellectual property either. They can take the AI actress that McDonald's uses and put her in any other commercial they want. So they made an ad of her eating Burger King, saying how much she hated McDonald's. Which in the real world, when you sign contracts with actors, they can't go to your competitors. Like they can't.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
able to lock them down for a while and everything. There's a definite um, delay before they could advertise for a competitor, and you tend to be able to protect your brand more. With the AI, it would be very easy to force anyone to just take an ad and just rebrand it however they felt, especially if they were a competitor or if they just had a grudge against the company. So that it really opened them up to a lot more problems than they realized, and it was taken off pretty quickly.
Yeah, yeah, we're lucky we were able to find it. They didn't take it down from YouTube. But yeah. So we'll put that commercial in the chat so you can help Corey, maybe you can help me with that or I can do it while we're talking next. But I think when you rewatch it, what gave me I call it the AI ick, is when I saw somebody lose an arm and then someone lost a leg. I'm like, the guy that was hanging down, one leg was missing. When he hit the ground, you're like, where'd the leg go? That's how you suddenly know it's AI, right? It's not, I don't know what else. It just looks too good to be true, so to speak.
Well, as a cat person, I noticed the cat moving weird.
Yes.
And I think
Yeah.
a lot of people a lot of people are trying to make cat videos with AI, and it's just anyone with cats can pretty much instantly say like, nope, cat doesn't move like that.
Yeah, I was thinking cat doesn't take the tree down like that. But yeah,
Hmm.
I didn't think about the movement of it. But yeah, you're right. You're right. So yeah, so take a look at that stuff and see. We will definitely put that in the chat. Okay, well, I'm going to keep us moving. I'm actually, Corey, I'm going to ask you to put that in the chat because I'm not going to be able to
Sure.
talk and I can't multitask like that. I just can't do it. Okay, so 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 as we talked, we are going to show you two different lenses. We're going to show you the lens of, the bright side and lens of, the not so bright side, the devil's advocate side of AI. And it's really, you got to look at both sides to get to the practical side and make yourself stronger. Okay, so I'm going to keep us moving. We're moving straight on to understanding these opportunities. Okay, so AI is something, we talked about this, right? You use it for repetitive tasks, you use it for all different things. Oh, thank you for putting that in the chat and that lady's lovely face, which is, I'm sure, what the Burger King commercial used. But how are all of you using AI? I want to start out with that. I can keep going. I use AI in my Gemini tool. I use it, I pretend that it's my administrative assistant. I don't have one right now, but I use it to say what are my meetings for the day and what are the things I need to prepare for, and it gives me a nice little list and I'm ready to go. I use AI for my headshot. The headshot that I have on my LinkedIn is an AI picture, but it's a realistic one. I was able to find one that actually used my real face and my real picture because I don't like the ones where, the arms and legs are missing. I think that's wrong. And I want the ones that are more realistic. So Kim helped me with the AI headshot tool because I think that's pretty useful. I've been giving that to a lot of my clients to use. I just think it looks realistic. And I don't really want to spend $500 to go have a headshot, whole studio approach to it. I don't have the time for it, and I don't really enjoy that either. Use it for travel. If you've got travel coming up, you can use AI for that. Streamlining your operations. Like when it comes to my marketing plan, my business plans, I use it for all of that. I heard that in your ideas already. How are you using it? And do you like using it? Okay, headshot as well. Kim is using it for that. I'm using it. Okay, Kim, this is where I'm going to call on you to help me read all these. Use AI to refine my emails. Yep. If you're super friendly all the time, it's great. But if you're very concise and you need to add more friendly, I actually set my chat GPT to cynical because I like the devil's advocate side of things. I don't want to know friendly, happy things. I'm friendly, happy all by myself. I want to know the other side of it. So there's a setting within ChatGPT. You can personalize it to be cynical. That's where I go with it. And it gives me really good stuff. So, okay.
Um, it says, I also used it to develop my story for my Dungeons and Dragons character. Love
See?
that.
Why would you
Um,
write it yourself if AI could write it, right? I'm
I
not a writer.
I think
Yeah.
that's I got to
Yeah.
tell you, I think that's fantastic. Um,
Yeah.
and I will say I also used it for my headshot.
Hmm.
Um, I use it to assist Denise in our marketing plans and stuff for her bright side.
Yeah.
Um, and yes, I will post in here the app that we used for the headshots. It does it
Yeah.
really nice. You put a few of your selfies in there, and it literally takes them and puts you in a business setting, and the pictures are so realistic it's not even funny. Like it literally looks just like you, but it gives you a nice business background. Um, and they're much cheaper than paying someone for a professional headshot.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. No, I think it's okay to still do the professional headshot if you want, but I do think that when
mhm,
time and money, it's awesome. It's awesome. Other one I
yeah,
see out
because
here.
it's super quick.
Yeah, for
So,
sure. Another one
I
that I
use
see out here.
AI to make important purchase. I
Yeah,
asked
like
it to make a table to compare products. That's pretty cool.
yeah, I
Dang,
know,
I never thought of that.
like my stove just went out, so I'm starting to search for a stove. I'm going to start, Lucille, I'm going to use your idea for that.
Jeez.
So we're
I
making our,
like that one.
it is awesome. It is
And you could
awesome.
also ask it to
Dang, I
review,
never
go
thought
through
of it.
reviews and assign a weighting to the pricing. Is create a quality index of, okay, this,
Very
there's the
nice.
price ranges. What are reviewers saying? Like, what is
Yeah,
summarize what you're seeing in the reviews.
exactly, exactly. Okay, so we all know how to use it for productivity and driving innovation. I do think I heard a couple of the feedback items before where folks were using for creativity. I'm not a video maker by my trade, so even just to make my videos, I do a lot of research with AI to unlock that creativity. I do it for all of the services that I provide. I don't know what the competitive prices are. I have it go and research all of that, business models, and industry trends. So I think it's great that we're all using it. It's innovative, and we all kind of get that piece. But what challenges are you facing with it? And curious to know from you guys, what challenges are you facing? I know we've talked about a couple challenges, like the McDonald's commercial was a fail. Probably got them a little bit of attention. Oh, and Kim just put the headshot link out there. Go ahead and use that. And then, what other challenges are you facing? Not having time. You don't have the time to do all the things. But I am seeing it in business as well. It seems like each tool that you go into has like an AI something at this point. Some are good, some are bad. We're going to talk about that. Um, okay,
Yeah,
bias
Karen
and
and Lucille are
algorithm.
pointing out very important things that we will
Go
definitely
ahead.
talk more about later, especially the hallucination and the bias. And that's definitely things we have to look for. Is you've got to evaluate what you're being handed, and that's something I've run in when I was playing with it through a creativity. There was it was like a AI role playing game. Like you told it what you want to do, and it would keep writing the story, and it would loop back to the same events over and over again. I'm like, that was resolved. Why are we going back to that? And there can be a lot
Right,
of
right.
struggles with that kind of stuff. That it tends to want to give you what it thinks you want, and you have to kind of train it to know, I want you to be accurate, not tell me what I want to hear.
Yeah, and I always do the trust but verify approach. Okay, I trust you, but I do treat AI like another employee or just another person. It has perspectives, right? It has the good, it has the bad, it has all of it mixed in together, and you don't know what you're going to get when you get an answer. So I do often ask it for sources so that I could go read the source that it was talking about or, pulling from so that I'm not just taking its summarized version and all that. But yeah, it definitely is. There definitely are some there are problems out there. Kim, I think you just had something happen even with my calendar invite, and I'll try to summarize it, but you can help me here. Is the invite came in like Apple was trying to do something on your phone to help you out with this invite, but it made it 30
Mm-hmm.
minutes instead of an hour. And you're like, wait, Denise, you did something wrong. And we're like, I don't think so. But the system did. It made it 30 minutes, and she had to go figure out for a couple minutes what was going wrong. And it ended up being
Yep.
Apple. It corrected itself too, but it was just weird.
Yep. I had 2 invites for this meeting today. One was an hour, one was 30 minutes. And I didn't realize that I went to Denise. I'm texting her. I'm like, Denise, I have 2 invites from you. And she's like, what? And I'm like, yeah. And it's for the same meeting, same time. And I didn't realize one of them had intuitively picked up, and if I had went all the way through the invite thing, at it was on my calendar as a Siri suggestion.
Yep. Siri
And I
suggested
didn't
wrong.
realize that, yeah, Siri was wrong. So yeah. And now my phone is listening because I said that word.
Yeah, it's going to help you out.
Ted, do you
Yeah,
have a
it's gonna try
question?
to help me out some more.
Yeah. Is there a question out there, Corey?
Yeah, Ted.
Sorry, yeah, I put my hand up to respond to the question before. So,
Oh, go for it.
yeah, so the hallucination thing is very real,
Mhm.
and it's one to be aware of. there's not really a way to avoid it, right? Please write this document for me, and then it'll write the whole document and it'll put in Ted and someone's completely wrong name after it. And you're like, that's odd.
Yeah.
And if that's the little things it does, obviously it's the big things, right? Makes up products when you're doing product research. I've seen that happen more than I care to see. Writes really bad code, right? Writes beautiful code, and then when it's that issue that Corey
Beautiful.
was talking about,
Doesn't
right?
work. Yeah.
You've
Yeah.
got an issue, fix it, great. It starts running down a cycle, and you have to know when to say stop. This isn't the right thing, right? We need to stop it. Maybe just start a whole new chat and kind of get rid of the memory of the other one, because it's challenging. The way I had one person explain it to me, it's like having it's like hiring an offshore new employee who's really bright.
Yes.
And you have to be like, okay, they think they know the language, but they don't always get my tone. You can give them specific instruction, but man, if they start to go off, don't just say, go fix this, because they might fix that, but they might not take the 3 steps back to get to what you really want to talk about. So it's like that really eager, I'll do it. You gotta be careful where you go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Absolutely.
No, I think you completely helped me with this slide here, Ted, because those are all the things that's pulling together. It's doing all that data analysis, it's doing predictive and analytics, and it's giving you real-time insights. But it might be from a wrong perspective that you didn't want to go. It could be from some various different places. I do like the idea of using it, though, as a way to just kind of say what if or help me think of other things. And I think that's where you can kind of make it productive and make it useful. So, okay. So when you start to think of all the possibilities for AI, what are some things that you wish you could figure out and just don't know? Like some of the things that we've been working on here at BrightSide Success is, marketing. We've been using it for our marketing. Benefits realization, that is one that is really hot in the market right now. We've been using it to help us build our courses and to help us write things that, maybe we can't write as fast as we want to write them. Even resource optimization, any company you can pull in, how many people you have and how much work you have and have it do some analysis on you. I do that with my company. It's telling me when I need to start branching out and expanding, because guess what? Denise can't do all the calls herself. There just is not enough time in my schedule. And so what are other ideas where you think we could be using AI to predict and to help us? Corey, I might see if you have one just off the top of your head. If not, we can go to the chat.
Yeah, I think a big one that's very challenging right now is, of course, weather prediction. The problem with weather prediction being a challenge is that we're reducing our capacity to collect that information. And I think especially if we're wanting to train AI to be accurate with that, it's going to need to be flooded, not just with the weather data we have, but also just long-term climate data. What caused weather patterns to shift? It can't, if we just feed it snapshots, that very hallucinations we could say like, well, there's going to be a week of thunderstorms coming up. Like that's not realistic. Like there's not enough, there's no weather system anywhere nearby that could produce that much rain over that many days and helping it learn. And to me, that's where I see growth there is pretty much anything that where there is consistent data that can lead to consistent predictions. I think it can really shine. Like astronomy would be another one where it's like, again, there's calculations at work that have been proven. Let it run those calculations. We're already using supercomputers to do that. Can AI potentially find quicker ways of doing that if it talks to another machine? Which that's the final growth area I see is getting AIs to work with other AIs. Like, can the machine languages work better and more efficiently with each other than they can with us? Do we need to be a middleman between them, or can we have them work as their own middleware with each other? Can they just bridge those gaps and learn how to work with each other?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that seems scary. When it starts to make decisions for us, though, that is where it makes me nervous. Like when I have to start having it pay for things for me or doing things, well, they're fine. That's information, right? But when it's now suddenly making a financial decision, which Angelica, I know you put that in there, know that financial advisors and all that are using it as well. That could be dangerous, right? It could be risky. Okay, well, I'm going to keep us moving here. We are going to get to, we've kind of recognized a lot of the dark things so far, but we're going to take it a little bit further. So, Corey, I'm going to hand it to you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Denise. So where we want to start is, of course, probably the most vital is addressing the ethical concerns and, of course, functionality too. We've already discussed hallucinations, and I've heard some great examples of that. So I'm glad to hear it. And hopefully that's something to be addressed. From the back end that I understand, a lot of it has to do with how it treats the metadata. That's the how it labels everything, how important it is. And that what they call tokenization, it can be heavily influenced by external factors. And that's where a lot of opportunity is how do we address that? How do we get it to understand that, okay, you're weighing this incorrectly. You're thinking this is more important than it is. And that's part of where the hallucinations come from. It thinks this random bit of data that's random to us is somehow important. So it brings it in. And next thing you know, you've got a paper that you wanted with economic forecasts for the, overseas markets, and it's giving you a summary for the next Ninja Turtles movie. And just like, why is this here? Because somewhere in your research, they were predicting if the next Ninja Turtles movie would do well overseas. So it just pulled that in. Ethics, of course, is as someone who's passionate about GRC is a huge concern for me. And problem I'm seeing a lot with ethics isn't that people aren't being ethical, it's that there's just not a lot of defined standards. Like what exactly is ethical and unethical with AI? For me personally, I go back to Denise's example of treat it like another person. What would be ethical to let another person do? Would you let another person have full access to your customer's payment card information just to do sales forecasting? The answer, of course, is no. You would not let them
No,
have
no.
payment card information to do marketing. Like, oh, I see you're using a Visa card. Like, let's try to partner up with them. Like, no, you're going to be violating known standards with that. And of course, we've mentioned finances in the chat, with Sobrains, Oxley, or SOX compliance. How much of your financials can you let AI touch before you're violating role-based security, before you're violating SOX auditing standards? Like, if AI can modify that, how are you going to prove that AI didn't modify it when you're providing your financial information? So something to definitely think about. Just kind of put it out to everyone. Like, have you run into any things where you thought AI was being used unethically? Of course, aside from the obvious one is using people's images against their will. We're all aware of that, and that needs to be taken a lot more seriously. To be honest, I feel like they're talking about, but they're not doing enough to stop it.
Yeah, and Corey, just in the chat, there's a bunch of them that we're hearing so far. Younger generations don't care about privacy, so they're throwing stuff out there. And it's been interesting creating resumes or business plans. They pull data that's not relevant. And yeah,
Yeah.
anytime you get data, you always have to read it. Even those emails we were talking about, it's writing an email for you. If you don't read it, then that's on you. You didn't read it to make sure it's accurate. Yeah, good
Exactly.
question.
Just like if you had an admin do it, like,
Yeah,
are you not going to check your admin's work? Because
right,
yes, you're relying on them to do a lot, but you kind of need to know the tone they're taking with other people. But yeah, we can move
right.
forward.
Yeah.
So ensuring data privacy and security is another thing that we kind of falls under that ethics, but we need to be cautious with. Of course, data protection I kind of already mentioned, but we are in a very security-based economy to where we have to keep data separated as much as possible so that it can't be easily worked at US Cellular. Of course, since we were under PCI compliance, we had firewalls for the firewalls and then a firewall for the firewall on the firewalls, because you made sure that if anyone got past that first firewall, they were not going to have a good time trying to get past the second firewall. And regulatory compliance, like I said, it's still young. It could change. The wind could blow either direction. And we think back to, well, Sobrains Oxley. It didn't exist until fairly recently. It's not that old of a law. It was the Enron scandal that generated it. It was a company flat out lying on their financials quarter after quarter, uh, causing investors to greatly overvalue what they were worth. And then when that all came crashing down, a lot of people lost a lot of money pretty much permanently. And we need to be aware that the first big AI failure, which it's not if, it's when. That's true of all technologies. How is society going to react to that? Are they going to demand better legislation, or are they just going to say, oh, well, them's the breaks? I mean, in most cases, if it's that unpopular, it will generate legislation. Again, it's just a matter of time. And of course, data misuse. This is where we kind of talked with the resumes. Like, it pulled stuff that wasn't valid to me. And that's where we have to be very careful, especially if we're doing competitive research. It's like, okay, it gave me there's information on my competitors that's legal and available for me to use, such as their Edgar filings, their quarterly financials. All that's legal to use. They have to put it out there. But if it starts pulling other stuff, like it starts pulling social media posts from people that worked at the company and starts using that, is that ethical? Like, should it really be pulling that, and is that information reliable? You could be given a false, let's say you're considering joining a company or purchasing from it, and it pulls that social media and it gives you this really rosy picture. While everyone that loves it loves it, they're talking about what a great job they do. And in reality, like the customers who aren't as available on social media, you come to find out that they're reviewing it horribly. Like, they're not getting products on time, they're not getting good support. There's a lot of issues. So something to think about with that. And I do see it, Lucille's is just absolutely like, how are we going to balance what it can do for us versus what we don't want it to do for us? That's
Right.
going to be the eternal question with any technology. It was the same with the internet. Like, it can do a lot of great stuff. It can do a lot of bad stuff if you don't police it well. So yeah,
Right.
we definitely make sure that we're protecting our customers and, to be honest, protecting ourselves and our brands.
Mhm.
You'll move on to the next slide for me, Denise.
Sure.
And after ethics, again, probably the most vital, and the one that I feel there's a lot of struggling still happening with, because it's just, we're all in the middle of it, is customer impact. How do our customers feel? One story that came out last year was with Klarna. Just to give y'all a little bit of background, Klarna is a company where you can basically take very short-term loans to pay for something. Like, say you buy that new oven, you can use Klarna to automatically break that into payments with no interest. It's a great way to help you get stuff that you don't want to pay too much for up front. Klarna was doing pretty well, and they had a great reputation for having customer service, being easy to work with. They then decided to pretty much get rid of their entire customer service division and replace it with AI.
Mhm.
That did not go over well with their customer base, because this was people needing to speak to someone to talk about financial impacts of repayment or breaking it up, and they wanted to talk to a person about that. The AI, of course, was just pretty much just, it wanted the payment. So give me the payment, not no empathy, no, or the empathy it did present was very false, which, oh, I hope you're having a great day. You owe us $2,000. Like, that's not an interaction you would have with a human being. And
Right.
it can really be off-putting. Cultural relevance is one I want to kind of touch on. Is you have to know your customers. The attitudes vary widely across demographics. Um, we see some age groups being pretty enthusiastic about it, and we see other age groups that absolutely despise it. And from what I've seen just in research recently, is that it tends to be, once people are above, say, the age of 40 something, they're generally okay with it. But a lot of people below the age of 30 have some very negative opinions about it, because since they're digital natives, they've seen it from the beginning, and they have a lot more concerns built up. Doesn't necessarily mean they're completely unwilling to use it, but they tend to be more aware of where it can go wrong. And finally, one to consider, especially in the business sphere, is your metrics. If AI is part of the equation, are your metrics for customer interaction still accurate? Because if the AI is making mistakes a person wouldn't make, you may be seeing more customer dissatisfaction than actually exists. And the opposite could be true. Maybe the AI being super pleasant and friendly keeps people from putting as negative scores, but they still go and leave you for your competitors, which, it's great that they were in a good mood when they left you for your competitor, but as a business, that's not a sustainable model. And one thing I'd like to think is just, with anyone in chat, have you used AI customer service? What was your reaction to it? Did you feel still valued as a customer that the company you were doing business with used AI to interact with you? Has anyone had any of those experiences?
Yeah, and Corey, while folks are putting experiences in the chat, I can give you, if it's a good time to interject it, I could give you my example with GoDaddy. Um,
Absolutely.
GoDaddy is the tool I use not only to get my like URL name, but also my website is hosted on GoDaddy. And so sometimes, like, the day it sent out Italian messages instead of English messages, they got a little customer service call from Denise. Well, as you can tell, I didn't go straight to a call. I had to start with a chat bot. And as the chat bot was working, like I could tell I was definitely in the AI world. But then what I really liked about what they did is they had said, "Hey, do you need to talk to a person?" They kind of recognized that they were going in a circle and asked me if I needed to talk to a person. I'm like, yes, because you are not solving it. It is still broken. And while I appreciated that, it didn't actually get me to a physical person, got me to like a real person now behind a chat. But the solution was it was solved with that person. I could tell I was getting a real person that was behind the scenes there. So, I think GoDaddy did a good job of using the chatbot and putting a person behind the chatbot when it needed to. There's other ones though where I will tell you, you just are in this circle, and then by the time you're done, I think you even have an example, don't you, with one of your vendors?
For me, it was like I said with Xfinity.
Yeah, yeah,
When it was just resetting my modem, oh, it's fine to use AI. It didn't bother me that much. It's a very simple request. But when that didn't resolve my issue, uh, I was not happy that it just kept trying to cycle through very basic troubleshooting. And it's like, I've done all those things. I need
yes,
someone to physically check this. And it's like, okay. And I pretty much had to disengage from chat, and I just had to physically call them because it just wouldn't do that. I'm glad that happened with you with GoDaddy, but with Xfinity, the AI chatbot would not give me a person. It just kept looping through its script of, did you try these things? Yes. Yes, I did. Did that resolve your issue? No, no, it did not. And called them and come to find out it was actually an outage in the area. It just hadn't met their threshold yet to be declared an outage. It was like 3 or 4 people, and it finally came back. It was apparently something software based on their end. But yeah, it was not the best experience. And for me, the other one I keep running into is some fast food restaurants are using AI, and it's
yeah,
kind of off-putting when you talk to the computer and then you go and there's a person there at the window and they sound completely different and they're like
yeah,
confirming your order, and I can tell there's still some distrust on their end because they're like, so
yeah.
you're the sandwich with this and this and you got this to drink, right? Like
Yeah, it's
they didn't
definitely
interact with you, so
McDonald's.
they're not sure who you are.
Yeah, definitely McDonald's is doing that. I will tell you for sure. I just had that happen, that exact experience. So, yeah, yeah. Okay, do we
Okay,
get
well, we can
anything in
move
the
forward.
chat? We got anything in the chat here?
Oh,
I
well,
believe
Daniel
there's a
just said
couple.
something. I ran into AI. Smell made calls with the VA. For some reason, it felt a bit more demeaning than going through the old automated service and being put on hold for a couple of hours. That's a common reaction, Daniel, and
Yeah,
that's one I sell is it shares because it's one thing to be put on hold waiting for someone. You get time to collect yourself, but when you're just sent straight to the AI, it's like we're just going to see if this robot will take care of you because we don't. I get the impression personally, it's like we don't actually want to talk to you. We're going to do everything we can to make sure we don't talk to you.
right.
So let's see what we can do to make you not talk to us. Where it's like, yeah, I don't care for that relationship. If I'm either A, paying you money, or B, you're owing me a service for something else. In case of the VA, you're owing me a service for a service I have already rendered. So I kind of need you to be on the phone with me. So absolutely, I think we're going to see more of that pushback
Yeah.
of if it's if it's especially if it's something that's very concerning, especially medical issues or struggling with billing, you're going to want a person. And I think you're going to start seeing a difference of, and we've seen this before with traditional customer service, where customer service departments that were in the country that was being served tend to be preferred to customer service departments that were not in the country being served. And people would sometimes make their decision based on what they would get. And it could be if they talked to someone they felt couldn't understand them, they were more than likely to move to a competitor.
Yeah, I totally agree. Okay, Corey, we're gonna have you step it up so we can get back on time here because we got
Absolutely.
like 10 minutes after you. So let's go.
Absolutely. Well, this is a good one to kind of move through brisk because I feel like this is a great audience that already is feeling a lot of these things for these unintended consequences and failures because you've all experienced them. The big one, of course, anticipate them, be ready, know where it can fail. Just like with any product you're bringing into your system, to your organization, where can it go bad? What is your contingency plan to do with it? Do you have a fallback? Who do you contact? Like who's providing the AI? Who do you get on the phone when it's not working? Just treat it like any other product. Have your incident problem management teams ready to go. Continuous monitoring is, let's make sure we know what the AI is doing, how it's performing. Let's watch out for those loops. Do we have a way of knowing when it's getting stuck in a loop? Do we know how much it should be outputting, and what do we do when it stops outputting? And how are we sure that it's only pulling what we want to pull from? And of course, on those two, building towards contingency plans, like what do you do if AI is not available? Who pulls in? Do you have any sort of scripts or automations that, non-AI automations that you can run that can fill in the gap? What is your relationship with the vendor if they're providing you an AI solution? How are they going to react if they're unavailable? And so, just with any other product, how is your organization going to be ready for what happens? How's your team prepared? As Denise had brought up earlier, circling all the way back, do they know how to run the product without AI? Because you really want them to be able to run the product without AI. They can absolutely use it to enhance and innovate and, take out some of the busy work. But at the end of the day, could they still do it without it? So that's what I'd really like to leave you all with is let's use it, let's innovate with it, but let's make sure we're not dependent on it.
Yeah, like just like reading the email, can you actually write the code? Can you do all that? So yeah, and what scares me is what you said. Do we need AI to watch AI? Oh man, imagine that. It's going to be out there, right? It's probably already out there,
Yep.
but it's going to cause trouble. Okay, well, I'm going to talk through some more practical tips, even though we've kind of sprinkled them in as we went along here. First, a couple things just to look at when it comes to your resources. So I think of resources as two things. One, your products and your tools, but then also your people. So resources, even just being a business owner, I've noticed that every tool I have has a little bit of AI in it. And that's all nice. But then when I started to look at it, I'm like, well, this tool does this, but then this tool does that. And then, wait, this tool does the same thing. So I've been working on deduplicating my efforts because guess what? Each of those tools, they're all very nice, but they all want $20 a month for me to have their service. That really compounds if you're in a corporate environment. Each of those tools can cost $10,000 a month per person. It's just really going to multiply. And so really need to take an assessment of an inventory of what you have. And so like between Gemini and ChatGPT and Copilot and and Claude and Perplexity, I'm downsizing what I need. I don't need them all. I just need a couple to do the precise things I need to do. And then skills assessment. You've got to talk to your people and make sure you do that same AI assessment because are people putting all of your data into the AI tools? Are they people that are trained appropriately to use it? Are they working as they should with the AI? Now that it's just so out there, I can imagine that you really have to be careful with who's doing what with your data. Okay, so there's a question here. I'm going to say the question, but I'm going to let you manage it in the chat for me. And Kim, if you could help me. But are you seeing this impact jobs? That's probably the biggest question I have and that I've seen is that people are seeing jobs be reduced because of AI. I have not seen it directly, but it is something that I see happening, in the world, in the news, but I haven't seen it directly happening. So are you guys seeing AI impact jobs? Okay.
I think the biggest impact, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
The biggest impact I'm seeing is, again, kind of some questionable maturity over wanting it as a skill. They'll say they want you to have it as a skill, but they're not really being specific as to what they want you to do with it.
Right.
It's like, okay, do you need me to write
talking about
prompts
it.
or do you need me to evaluate it? Because I am seeing jobs now where you're the actual whole job is just to evaluate what AI is putting out. Mercor especially is hiring a lot of people in almost every field can you work as a contractor and just tell us that the AI is being accurate or not? and that's
Yeah.
it. But a lot of people have also expressed a concern that they don't really care where it's getting its information from. They just want to know if it's right, which, especially when people are passionate in their field, they're kind of like, I know where it's pulling this from. It shouldn't be pulling it. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's making, and of course, ATS is something that you and I have discussed a lot. It's definitely impacting my ability to find a job. uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
because you've gone from tailoring your resume a little bit to what you think a person's going to be looking for in the job to taking it to where I have to get through a test before a human being will ever see me. And that test is that does my resume match enough terms to where they think I'm worthy, whether I have the valid
Yeah.
experience or
Well,
not,
you're
does it
right.
match?
You are right. You are right. Yeah, and I those ATS scores, the application tracking score, it's important, gets you in the door, and you got to get past that robot for sure. Okay, well, I'm going to go through briefly some of these. There's a couple other things that I want to point out on these slides, but one I want to just let you guys know is there's a .ai, I would say suffix that you can buy for your TLD, which is your top level domain. So for me, that's brightsidesuccess.com, right? I have brightsidesuccess.com as my website. Guess what? Now you can buy, and you can do this for a while, but it's really hot right now. So if you have a domain name that you love, I suggest you go get it right away. This is one of those practical tips because pretty soon people are going to be buying up the .ai for their company, and they're going to charge you even more for it. So go to GoDaddy, take a look at it. Right now I have BrightSideSuccess.ai as well, and then I forward it to my .com, and eventually I'll start building more on it. But just from a practical perspective, it is really hot. Even when I called GoDaddy, they're like, the phones are ringing off the hook, not literally, but all their orders are with .ai. People want their domain names to be that way. So it's called the top level domain, and if you want one or if you want to know how to do that, let me know and I can tell you how to do it. Okay, going to go over a couple more policies and all that. Corey talked about Sarbanes-Oxley and all of that. As a leader, it is your requirement and your responsibility to set the policies and set the guardrails for your team to own AI. It doesn't matter what's happening in the world. It doesn't matter what's happening in the industry. You still have to own it as a leader of your team. And so you have to set those guardrails for everybody. How is your team using it? Who has the ownership of it? Who's doing what? Nobody's going to tell you how to do this. It is your responsibility. So you've got to be ready for it. This is one of those tools that we have out here, and we start to talk about it in this workshop. I have a whole separate workshop where you can just learn about how to do this. So that's out there on my website, brightsidesuccess.com. It's called Leading Through AI. I'm not going to be able to go through all the things that we have here today. I've listed the high level of it, but I encourage you to sign up for that workshop to learn a little bit more. Okay, so in conclusion, we've talked about a lot. We've talked about balancing these opportunities, some practical frameworks, and then ultimately we want you to be a responsible leader of AI, help each other out, be stronger, be a stronger leader. And I hope that you will see AI from a different perspective. I know each conversation I have, like even through the chats we had here today, I see that you are having different perspectives than I have as well. So I wanted to leave you with that. And then one more thing I wanted to go over. Again, I own BrightSide Success. We will take questions at the end if we can take a couple questions. So I'll leave you with that. But I want to let you know that, if this was helpful for you, this is exactly what my company does. And one of the most important sessions that I sell is my 3-month private coaching experience. And this is where I help you directly as a leader to be stronger and to grow. And we turn these insights into momentum. And so go to my website, brightsidesuccess.com, and sign up for that. But Corey, I was thinking maybe at the end here we could just take 1 or 2 questions if folks have
Absolutely.
them, because I am closely watching the time. I want to make sure we're respectful of people's time. So any questions for us or things you want to know that maybe we didn't hit? Or maybe that's a better question. What more do you want to know from us? We'd be happy to share.
Absolutely.
I know I could talk to Corey all day because I think I know something. And then even in this workshop, I've learned 5 things that I didn't know. Like I had to take notes on the side of what I learned from you. So thank you. That's really awesome.
I've learned a lot from the chat. It was actually great seeing how some of you are using it. There's some really uh, interesting thing I've not considered, and that's one of the pauses I try to look at because as you've
Yeah.
probably gathered from my conversation with Denise, that I tend to be more on the negative side of AI, but I like seeing what I call good uses. And one of my kind of hallmarks of ethics is like if it's your own data that you're training it on and you're providing it with something that you know is public and available, I don't really have an issue with that. I think that's actually a good way to use it. And I actually wish more people would use it that way. I feel that a lot of people that are, let's be honest, pushing AI on us, if they saw more of that usage, maybe they would pull back a little bit from where it's not needed and start pushing it more to where it is and would really help. Like organizing information. Like I love the idea of like, hey, make me a table about this. Like just give me a table of my options. And that's something I think it can really shine out, especially if it's trained on good data. But I think a lot of people still need to learn about training because that's probably, I think Denise and I've seen like if you just try to throw the kitchen sink at it, you're going to get a kitchen sink response. And that may not be useful to you. And of course, when we apply that to a business situation, you don't have that wiggle room that you do with, say, a personal decision where you always have fallbacks. You can delay it. You can't delay purchasing, a new vendor for a solution. Like you're going to have to make a call. So hopefully I was helping, but at the end of the day, I think Denise was great to point out you will still own it at the end of the day. It does not matter what AI gave you. You will answer to that to your leadership.
Exactly. Well, I appreciate everybody. I've seen a bunch of great ideas in the chat. Well, and Corey, big thank you to you. You have been outstanding with ideas and thoughts here. Big thank you to Kim Finch, who helps me behind the scenes, and a big thank you to Cantos, Miss Angelica Cantos, and of course my mentor who's here, Roseanne. Big thank you to all of you for making my life brighter, and I look forward to working with you more in the future. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate
Take
you.
care.